would like you to know, baby, I love.
Well, hey, thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the music, the new album, and it's a debut, so it's a big
Yeah.
deal. So let's begin our journey with this.
Okay.
5 years ago, this pandemic changed all of our lives, and the response around the world was different from every country on the globe. Everything was different. So ultimately, how did you survive as a musician, and how has it influenced the way that you make music and do things today?
It was quite hard as a musician, but fortunately, as I was still under 18 when the pandemic hit, I wasn't out regularly gigging or anything like that. So I was mostly just at home and I had time to practice, but it was daunting because I didn't know what was next. I didn't know if I'd be able to step into this career that I wanted to step into, or anything like that. So it was just very like insecure as a time.
So let's talk about this debut album that's coming out, Feel All Right, How It Feels. And I want to know, how does it feel? It's your debut, it's a big deal, it's your shout out into the world of jazz. How does this, what was kind of the vision and how does it feel?
It's so exciting. Um, it's so exciting just to have a piece of music that I wrote and I created put out into the world. I feel like it reflects who I am as a musician. I feel like I'm setting up the kind of style I love. And I'm so grateful to have been able to play with some absolutely fantastic Scottish musicians on the album because they really bring it to life and create that soundscape that I was looking for. So,
So, so what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
um, an insight into kind of an insight into my world, an insight into kind of the themes I'm talking about, like love and romance, and kind of listening to the style and the different like saxophones and the different tones of the instruments, and perhaps going back to a slightly more vintage vibe as well. So,
So what did you do on release date? It was August 1, correct?
yeah, yeah, 1st of August.
So that's a big deal. Did you have a big celebration? What happened that day?
Yeah, I went out for some drinks and I celebrated and I shared it on social media and I sent it across to friends and family members to have a listen. I played it on in the car when I was driving and stuff. So it was a good time. It was a great day.
So how did this journey into the music and more specifically jazz, how did all of this begin and take hold for you?
So as a kid, I grew up playing classical music and I was classically trained and that was kind of my world for a long time. But when it came to the music I'd listen to for fun or for pleasure and enjoyment, it would always be more funky stuff, like a lot of Stevie Wonder, a lot of Amy Winehouse, a lot of jazzier stuff. I got into listening to big band and swing music and like people like Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald, and that's just what I absolutely loved. So I then decided I wanted to go into that lane of jazz and start studying jazz, like teaching myself about the theory of jazz and yeah, just immersing myself in that world.
So what was the first live jazz show you saw that blew you away or made you think, I want to be up there and do that one day?
Ooh. Um, when I started getting the interest in jazz, unfortunately, it was COVID. So I couldn't go and see anything initially, but I watched a lot of live shows on YouTube and I was absolutely obsessed with Roy Hargrove and the RH Factor. And I watched a bunch of their live shows on YouTube and it just blew me away. And I thought it was fantastic. And I loved all the horn arrangements, all the soloing, the very jazz influenced, but very groovy music. And I loved seeing the singers all really in their element. So for me, that was definitely what I saw that I really enjoyed.
So talk to me a little bit about the scene in Scotland. I'm always amazed worldwide how prevalent jazz is. It's this thing that came from Africa to America, got kind of worked on in New Orleans. I'm in Kansas City, got kind of refined. It's gone to New York. It's kind of this thing that just hopped over the pond and just kind of spread. And it always kind of blows me away how prevalent it is in the world. So what's the scene like and how's it going over there with the jazz scene?
It's very, very vibrant. So the main hubs, I'd say, in Scotland for jazz are the two cities, Glasgow and Edinburgh. Glasgow's absolutely buzzing for jazz. There's the conservatoire there, so a lot of students will go to conservatoire and come out really strong players and create bands. Um, one of the most notable Scottish bands, I guess, is Quarto that are doing a lot of work all throughout the UK and everything. So there's just such a huge scene for it. There's loads of jams, there's loads of gigs going on, loads of collaboration, which I think is really important. And it's got a kind of a unique sound to it, I think.
You know, I remember during the pandemic thinking, hopefully people start getting this thirst for a more organic music like jazz and that the popularity of it rises. And you talked about getting into it during the pandemic. Have you noticed people embraced jazz a little bit more, that it grew during that time period?
Um, Perhaps actually, I think maybe people were seeking that kind of collaboration and kind of it changed the direction people were thinking musically. Because you had to think about music in a different way. Like you had to collaborate maybe through recording by yourself in an isolated setting and see how you could then collaborate whilst doing that at the same time instead of in a live setting as it used to be. So I think that would have been transformative in some way.
So the one thing about speaking internationally with musicians is there's always this kind of idea, this dreamy idea of New York. Do you have this notion of wanting to come to America and toss around the map and play gigs here?
Yeah, definitely. Like going to America to play gigs would be the dream. It'd be fantastic to go to these like mega cities where there's been so much historical culture of jazz as well. And just to even go and see it and maybe even participate in that would just be unbelievable.
So speaking of that dream, there's always these stages and things you want to do in your career. What's the stage that you played on where you're like, I can't believe I'm here? And what's the ultimate stage that you want to be on in your career?
So I guess for me, um, two stages here in Scotland that I was like so excited to be on where I played at the O2 in Glasgow, which is quite a large stage. A band I was in at the time supported Craig Charles for a gig that was very, very exciting. The biggest stage I'd been on at the time. And then the other one was playing in the Edinburgh Jazz Bar a couple of years ago for the Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Festival. I just that was so brilliant. It was so exciting to be at the Jazz Bar. It's always a venue I dreamed of playing, and now have the I'm fortunate enough to be able to play there semi frequently. So it's fantastic. And I guess in terms of where I'd love to play, I'd love to play in some venues in London. I'd also love to travel with my music, perhaps a Europe tour, or even get the opportunity to play in the States would just be absolutely fantastic. So.
Right on. So what do you love the best about being a professional musician? What gets you up every day? What motivates you?
I love collaborating with other musicians. I love hearing what other musicians have to offer. I love hearing their unique ideas and their unique voices and kind of playing off of that. Um, yeah, I just love how you can like turn a piece that you practice by yourself and you've kind of put yourself into, and then bringing that into a group setting and hearing what everyone else has to say with the piece and creating something new out of that.
So let me ask you this. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one show, one jazz show, where would you go?
Ooh, I'd have to say it'd have to be an Amy Winehouse gig for sure.
Okay.
I was unfortunate by the time she had passed, I was still a child, so I never managed to go and see her live. But I would have loved to seen her sing with like a big band or just like a jazz ensemble. That would have just been brilliant.
Yeah. So why do you love jazz?
I love the harmony and I love the rhythm. That's like the fundamental reason why I love it. I find the harmony so expressive. There's so much mood and character within all the chords and the way the chords move together. And I just love the rhythms, the syncopations. I just find it so groovy. It just really captures me. So
So let's say we talk 10 years from now. Where do you want to see your career? Where do you want to see things transpire?
I'd love to have way more music out. I'd love to record maybe, or in 10 years, hopefully a couple of albums and really like develop my sound through that. And I'd love to just be maybe touring or have had toured and just seen the world whilst also getting to play my songs and jazz songs.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everybody you play with on the bandstand, all the business people, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
So I guess I do a few different musical projects. So my role kind of changes as and when to fit things. But in my own project of Kimberley Tessa, I'm the band leader, and I basically I set the songs of what I want to play and try and facilitate that, and find the right tones and create the right fit for those songs I want to perform, I'd say.
So what about live shows? What are you doing for live shows? Anything that's coming up for you?
I have a few jazz festival shows here in Scotland. So I'm playing Calendar Jazz Fest in October and Dundee Jazz Fest in November. And then between that, I have a few more shows in Edinburgh, at the Jazz Bar and other venues like that. So
Okay. So if anybody wants to pick up the new album, where's the best place to go? Is it Bandcamp?
probably Bandcamp, anywhere that you could pay like £1 or something, just a small little donation for it, because that way the artist actually can see some of the money. But also any stream and streaming platforms is massively appreciated as well. So,
And if anybody wants to dig into any more information, touring, any of the other good business, where's the best place to go?
the best place is to find me on social media. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Kimberley Tessa. I'm also on YouTube as well. So just all the general social media platforms. That's the best way to find me. Probably Instagram and Facebook are the best. That's where I get the most updates about upcoming gigs and shows and stuff.
Okay. I will put those links in the show notes. Kimberley, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Best of luck with the release.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll catch up down the line.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Jazz fans, Joe Domino of Neon Jazz here. Proud to let you know about the triumphant return of the Kansas City Blues and Jazz Festival to Legends Field at the home of the KC Monarchs with a stellar lineup. Grammy-winning Stanley Clarke, Carl Denson's Tiny Universe, jazz master Bill Frisell, and KC luminaries Jackie Myers and Brody Buster. Tickets and more for this electrifying two-day event is found at monarchsbaseball.com, then click on special events. This October 3rd and 4th, join us as we bring magic and music back to Kansas City.